What's up, guys? It's Tearless here. Welcome back to the Fell Hammer. This is the class order hall for all Demon Hunters, the brand new class coming in World of Warcraft Legion. And it's been a while since we've been back here. We were here to take a look at the only other spec for Demon Hunters, which is the Havoc Demon Hunter, the DPS spec. We are here for the second time to look at the tank spec for Demon Hunter, that is Vengeance Demon Hunters. Now, I know it's a little weird that there are only two specs for a Demon Hunter. I believe Blizzard couldn't really decide on what to do. It didn't feel like Demon Hunters were a healing spec, so they didn't want to give them a healing, like the ability to heal or a spec to heal. And then at the same time, I have a feeling that they couldn't decide on what to do for a secondary spec, secondary DPS spec. They could have tried a secondary tank spec, kind of like how Priest has two healing specs, but that might have been overkill. So there's only two specs for a Demon Hunter. Now, the cool thing about this video, very much like the Vengeance Demon Hunter video, is the fact that I basically get to go through and I don't have to worry about looking at any class changes. I just get to go through and look at all of the abilities, show you what is coming for this brand new class and specialization in World of Warcraft Legion. Just go down the line and look at everything. So there's no write-up. I just get to go straight in and say, hey, check out all this cool stuff. And that is what we'll be doing. In the first video, I'll be looking at the abilities and, how a Vengeance Demon Hunter works, as well as the artifact weapons for a Vengeance Demon Hunter, which are a little bit different from the Glaives of Havoc. As you can see here, I got these wonderful blades that I have right here. I really like them. I do think that both Demon Hunter artifact weapons are kind of bland, but they will be able to be improved to make them look much cooler as you get artifact weapon unlocks and so forth. But in this video, we will look at all of the abilities for a Vengeance Demon Hunter. We'll look at the changes, and then we'll look at the artifact weapon at the end. In the next video, we'll look at talents, PvP and PvE, and that'll take some time because generally through the videos, as I go through PvP and PvE talents, I kind of take it that you guys know what the abilities are that we're talking about when I go through other classes and specializations. However, when we get to Vengeance Demon Hunter, just like Havoc Demon Hunter, the problem is that all of these abilities are brand new, so we'll be going back and forth between reminding you what an ability is and then showing off the talents in that video. So we will get to that in the second video. This video is going to be all about abilities and the Vengeance Demon Hunter, what it brings, and the artifact weapon. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this. First off, how do Vengeance Demon Hunters work? They work very similar to Havoc Demon Hunters. Havoc Demon Hunters run on a rage-like system. So bears, warriors, and now Demon Hunters run on a rage-like system. For a Havoc Demon Hunter, it's called, I believe, Fury. That is their rage system that they have. For a Vengeance Demon Hunter, it's called Pain. I'm not quite sure why they changed the two. I haven't really found much of a difference between the two for it to merit a change. I will say that I feel like Vengeance Demon Hunters generates Pain a lot less or a lot slower than a Havoc Demon Hunter is able to generate Fury. So that may be part of the change, but really I'm not sure why they gave them two separate names. And I'm kind of curious, the bar for a Havoc Demon Hunter's Fury is kind of this purplish color. And in PvP you actually show up as a purple icon, a different purple icon from what Warlocks have. I'm wondering if Pain, which is kind of a mustard yellow, you'll see it pop up, if Vengeance Demon Hunters will appear a little bit differently when we actually get into a BG. I doubt it, but it's just a little bit strange that they have different coloring and they have different names for its resource, even though it functions exactly the same. I mean, I don't expect it to be called Rage, though probably it should have been called Rage because there's no difference between energy between a rogue and a Windwalker monk and a feral druid. There's a difference between focus, because focus does operate differently in how you generate it whereas you're actually actively generating focus, whereas something like energy is more passively generated. So there is a difference there between those two, but in terms of rage, and in terms of rage and fury, or pain in the case of Vengeance Demon Hunters, I'm really not sure as to why they separate them, because while rage used to be more of just a passive auto attack generation, it's now become very active, and there are active ways for you to generate that. So not sure why they did it, but that is the case with Vengeance Demon Hunters and Havoc Demon Hunters in whole. So with that, you now know how basically a Vengeance Demon Hunter will function. It is a little bit of, it's very much like a warrior is now. It is active creation of rage. You'll start at 0, and you have to build it up. So you build it up through different abilities, and we will get through these abilities. We'll just go through the entire spell book and take a look at everything so you can see what's going on. Now, in my first tank video, this is the second tank video, in my first tank video talking about Guardian Druids, I mentioned how all of the tanks have kind of a kind of little, it's like their own area, okay? They have their own little kind of niche, however you pronounce it, for their tanking spec. They want to separate everyone. And for bears, it's I'm having a big health pool, I've got some damage mitigation, otherwise I got great health pool, and I can survive for a long time. For Vengeance Demon Hunter, it's going to be all about restoring your health through siphoning of souls, and at the same time, which is kind of weird because siphoning of souls, I keep thinking of the Death Knight and the Lich King, but you know, Frostmourne, Shadowmourne, etc. But anyways, the siphoning of your soul fragments, so healing yourself, and then also parry. So these are the two mitigation techniques for a Vengeance Demon Hunter, whereas a Bear Druid is all about having a massive health pool, and then you know, protecting your massive health pool through some mitigation, armor specifically. This one is all about actively healing yourself, and then on top of that, being able to parry and mitigate some damage through a specific ability. So that is what Vengeance Demon Hunters are going to be about. This is the second time a leather wearer, excluding bears, because bears are an exception. They get enough tank to be a plate wearer, basically. Enough armor to be a plate wearer. This is the second time Blizzard is going to be messing around with a leather tank. So we'll see how it turns out. It took a while for Brewmasters to settle into their role. Even towards the end of Warlords of Draenor, they were not the most popular. I think in World of Warcraft Legion, they're much better off. We'll get to that when we actually get to the Brewmaster video. But for now, we'll see how leather actually works for a Vengeance Demon Hunter. Now, before I go into the main abilities, I want to start with the first ability here, which is just plain and simple sheer. Just so you guys can know what the actual basic ability for a Vengeance Demon Hunter is, and that is called sheer. Melee range, requires a melee weapon, instant, no cooldown. Shears an enemy for 87,000 physical damage and has a small chance to shatter a lesser soul fragment from your target that heals you for 47,000 health when consumed. So you can see right here, it's already beginning to be a lot like self-healing, okay? You're trying to get these little soul fragments, as you can see right there, to pop out, and then I can go grab them. So as you can see right there, I was able to grab them, and so forth. I actually just transformed into my demon state there for a second. We'll have to see where that actually pops up. That may be a part of the artifact weapon. I'm not quite sure, but that is in a talent somewhere, and we will find it. So with that, you can see the mustard colored pain bar up here. It just looks weird. I feel like it should just be rage, you know. But this is like unlike warriors and druids, who actually have abilities that are on cooldown that generate rage. These, both Havoc and Vengeance Demon Hunters, have active abilities that you can constantly cast without worry of cooldown, and so that is slightly different from how things operate on rage. So maybe that's where the change is. So with that, let's start going through the talent tree. It's not the talent tree, the ability list. We got 3 pages here to go through, so a lot of stuff to look at. So let's start with Consume Magic. Interrupts the enemy's spell casting and locks them out of that school for 3 seconds. 15-second cooldown, generates 50 pain on a successful interrupt. This is very much like Havoc. I believe it's the exact same as Havoc Demon Hunter. 20-yard range, which is awesome, and it's your interrupt. So every melee gets their interrupt on a 15-second cooldown, and it interrupts for 3 seconds. This is Vengeance's and Havoc's as well. This is what is open to you. We have Darkness. Summons darkness around you in an 8-yard radius, cloaking friendly targets and granting 50% chance to avoid all damage from an attack. 8-second cooldown. It's a 3-minute cooldown. It lasts 8 seconds. Once again, I mentioned this with Havoc Demon Hunters. This wording can be a little bit confusing because it says cloaking friendly targets, and it makes you think that it's stealth, but it's actually not. It's just the wording that they chose for this. So you basically just get the 15% chance to avoid all damage from attack. I'll use it right here so you can see it's got this nice big purple puddle for us to kind of hide out in, and that is Darkness. It's a defensive cooldown for all Demon Hunters. Now, for Vengeance Demon Hunters specifically, we have this ability called Demon Spikes, and this is basically your main damage mitigation. Surge with Fell Power, increasing your parry chance by 20% and reducing physical damage taken by 20% for 6 seconds. It costs 5 pain, but it has a 14-second recharge. So you have to be careful of this. So I'm going to go ahead and build up real quick some pain real quick. I really hate calling it pain, I'm not going to lie. And then we're going to use... Oh, I popped into my demon form there again for a second. Hang on, let's pop back out. Alright, there we go. And we'll use Demon Spikes right here. So it just puts these massive spikes on your back. Yeah, I mean, it's like an abnormal growth there. And you have 2 charges of this. So it's basically once every 5 seconds. So you technically can pretty much have this up almost non-stop. So that's something that you can have. I don't know if I really like the design choice in that, because that if you can have it up almost 100% of the time, then it becomes a maintenance buff. And the real difficult choice of making sure that you making sure that you use it at correct times or at specific moments, that all goes out the window when it's pretty much, oh, it can be up at all times, which is kind of disappointing. And it's so easy. I mean, it only costs 5 pain, which means it only takes me 1 shear to get enough pain to be able to use this. So, what's so difficult about this? Basically, make sure that this is up at all time, and you'll have pretty much almost 100% uptime on 20% parry chance and 20% physical reduction. Hopefully, they make changes to this to make it more interesting. I would not expect it before Legion launches, but just something that I would say, that I would put out there that I would hope that they would do. Next ability here is going to be Empower Wards. 20-second cooldown. Reduces magical damage taken by 30% for 6 seconds. Now, this is kind of odd. It doesn't cost any pain at all. So the first damage mitigation costs 5 pain, 14-second recharge. Empower Wards has no cost for pain, but it has a 20-second cooldown. So you have your magic mitigation here, and then you have basically your physical mitigation here in Demon Spikes. So we'll use Empower Wards, and as you can see right here, I got that bubble around me, and then I had this green glow. They've done a real good job with this green glow. You'll see it mostly on Beast Mastery Hunters, the new glowing effects that they have in this game, but this is the first time I've ever seen it outside Beast Mastery Hunters, and they use it with this nice green effect here, which is really cool. So once again, I'll use it. You can see right there, that's really cool. That means that they now have 30% reduction in magical damage. So if you see that in PvP, you may want to save your big stuff for later. Skipping over these two because they're talents, let's move to Fiery Brand. You brand an enemy with a demonic symbol, instantly dealing 192,000 damage, that's a lot of fire damage, and reducing the damage they do to you by 40% for 10 seconds. So if a boss is about to do a really high-powered damage ability, you can use Fiery Brand on them. And basically, a 1-minute cooldown, 10 seconds. This is pretty awesome. So anytime a boss goes into a big damage phase, Vengeance Demon Hunters are actually going to be pretty strong in terms of tanking. Remember, it's the damage only done to you, so it's not like you can pop it on them and all of a sudden the raid takes a lot less damage. it's something that you can save for when basically there's going to be a lot of single target burst on the tank. You can put Fiery Brand on the target right there. You can see the brand appear above the target and take less damage. So that's pretty cool. There's another soul fragment popping up. So, I will show it again later to one of the minions inside that you can see better, so you can see the actual brand appear above the target. But it's just quite simple. It shows the brand and then you're good. Now Glide is here, and we'll skip ahead real quick and go through double jump right here as well. So you can double jump as a demon hunter. This is basic to all demon hunters. And then you can also reactivate your jump for a glide. So I'll use it right here. And as you can see, I can sit there and I can just glide all the way down. So that is one of the cool changes. That is one of the cool new things for a demon hunter. It plays into their mobility and so forth. I personally really do like it. So with that, let's move to the next ability, which is Immolation Aura, or Immolation Aura, however you pronounce it. This is very much. This has got. This is back from Warcraft 3 Demon Hunter, okay? This is Illidan all over, okay? Having this aura, you engulf yourself in flames, instantly dealing 93,000 fire damage to enemies within 8 yards and radiating 21,000 fire damage every second for 6 seconds. And it generates 20 pain over 6 seconds. So, you're generating pain through this. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. It's a really cool ability. I'm going to zoom out here so you can see. And here you go. I just explode with green fell energy everywhere. And then I am constantly, per tick, sending out fire damage every tick. Really cool AoE threat damage. This is how you're going to get your AoE threat really quickly as a Vengeance Demon Hunter, is through Immolation Aura. Imprison is a kind of a CC here. Imprisons a demon for 1 minute. Damage will cancel the effect. There is a PvP talent, I think, somewhere that allows you to use this on players, because I had this used against me the other day in PvP, so this could find some use in PvP. Otherwise, it's pretty simple that it only affects demons. It'll be useful for this expansion, but I think beyond this expansion, it may lose its ability to be very effective until we get another expansion with a lot of demons in it. So maybe they may think about adding some other different types of NPCs to this list. I'm not sure, but for right now, it's just demons. I cannot use this, so I cannot show you, but that's basically what it is at the moment. Infernal Strike. This is going to be your kind of like your charge, okay? You leap through the air towards a targeted location, dealing 86,000 fire damage to all enemies within 6 yards. I have 2 charges of this, 20-second recharge. So the only problem that I have with this is that there are a lot of targeting reticles with this class, and we'll get through them later as we start getting into the, I believe they're called sigils. Yeah, as we start getting into the sigils, you'll see them. But there are a lot of targeting reticles on this class, which can be kind of annoying to deal with. So just know that is there. But this is only a 30-yard range, so it's more along the lines of a charge. Though I do believe charge this expansion has been expanded all the way to 40 yards, if I am correct. It is in line with, I believe, a bear charge. A bear charge might be 25 yards, so it's kind of in the middle of what a charge is, but I'm going to go ahead and show this to you right here. It's pretty cool. Jump in and you just slam down on people. And I mean, at the same time, you kind of change into your demon form right there, which is also really cool. So there you go. And then you just jump on top of them. So it's pretty cool ability. It's a cool gap closer to have. Here we have Metamorphosis. Transform into a demon for 15 seconds, increasing current and maximum health by 45%. So this is kind of another defensive cooldown for you to have as Vengeance. Notice that you generate 7 pain every 1 second, so you're going to be generating a lot of pain through this. And its cooldown, I believe, is the same, if not 1 minute less than what it is on Havoc, so it's a little bit different. And you also look different. You don't jump to a position, you just start out here. So as a Havoc Demon Hunter, you actually jump to the position. Here you do not do that. Instead, you will just do this. And I will go ahead and just use abilities here so you can see me in my Vengeance form. I'm just going to show this off to you what I look like. I am a female Night Elf, so this is what a female Night Elf looks like. It'll change For each class, it'll be a little bit different. But that is Metamorphosis for a female Night Elf. It'll look different from male Night Elves and for Blood Elf. For Blood Elf males and Blood Elf females, but it's still a pretty cool Metamorphosis. The main difference from Havoc being that the wings are less pronounced and more the spikes are kind of the big thing in it. So that's kind of the major change there. I did say that I was going to show you mark the brand on a different target, or fiery brand on a different target, so I'll go ahead and use it here. You can see the brand appear his head there before it disappears, and then he has the brand on the target. So I just wanted to show you that real quick before we move on. To the next page, we have Sheer, which we already talked about, and then we get into the sigils. So these are all ground targeted, and this kind of adds in the fact that there's a lot of ground targeted abilities that you have to deal with as a Vengeance Demon Hunter. So let's go ahead and go through them. I really do like them. They're all, place a sigil, it's all ground targeted. You place a sigil on the ground. It's very large AoE radius, and it activates after 2 seconds. So in PvP, it's going to take some real skill to be able to hit this right on. In PvE, it should be easier. So first we'll look at Sigil of Chains. Place a Sigil of Chains on the target location that activates after 2 seconds. All enemies affected by the sigil are pulled to its center and snared, reducing movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds. So this is a great AoE, and this will really mess with people in PvP. It'll be a lot of fun. However, it is on a 2-minute cooldown, which kind of stinks. So let's go ahead and use this right here. Let's see if we can get these imps to be pulled. It's possible that they may not because they're chained, but we'll go ahead and use this here so you can see the sigil on the ground, 2 seconds, and then they're dragged to the center. So that's pretty cool. The next sigil here is Sigil of Flame. Place a Sigil of Flame at the target location that activates after 2 seconds. Deals 44,000 fire damage and an additional 48,000 fire damage over 6 seconds to all enemies affected by the sigil. Honestly, this feels like an explosive trap kind of for Vengeance Demon Hunters. So we'll go ahead and use this here on the side. There's the trigger, 2 seconds, there we go. This is the delayed trigger trap, and it does fire damage to everyone. We have Sigil of Misery. Place the Sigil of Misery on the target location that activates after 2 seconds, causing all enemies affected by the sigil to cower in fear, disorienting them for 30 seconds. So in an emergency situation, maybe a mythic dungeon or whatnot, you can plop this down and have CC on a lot of ads really quickly. So I will use this here, and you'll see the purple sigil drop down, 2 seconds, and then it pops, and all of them are sitting there in fear for the next 30 seconds. It's pretty awesome. The last sigil here is going to be Sigil of Silence. Place a Sigil of Silence at the target location that activates after 2 seconds. Silences all enemies affected by the sigil for 6 seconds. So you have another sigil, another silence in addition to your consumed magic. So you have 2 different forms of kind of locking out a ranged caster that is not available to most people. So that's pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and use this. Once again, very large AoE radius, which I think is important for PvP. For PvE, I don't think it'll be as important to have such a large radius, but in PvP it definitely is important considering lag, latency, people moving around, and the fact that it has that 2-second delay. So you kind of have to time it all up and so forth. So we'll use this as the last sigil, blue icon there, and there you go. Hits everyone there with a silence right there at the end. So really cool abilities. We got 2 1-minute cooldowns, a 30-second cooldown on the straight damage one, and then a 2-minute on the actual kind of like the pull and snare on Sigil of Chains. So a lot of options there. Here we have Soul Cleave. Viciously strike all enemies in front of you, and up to viciously strike all enemies in front of you for up to 177 physical damage, and heal yourself for up to 243,000 based on the pain spent. Consumes all soul fragments within 20 yards. So this is basically your heal, I guess, AoE heal ability. So I have a soul fragment over there. I'm going to build up soul fragments here. I'm going to build up my shears so I can have as many as I have. And as you can see in the bottom right hand corner, in the bottom where I am, I'm currently clicking on shear to build up. You'll notice that there's a number 5 next to the icon of Soul Cleave. That is indicating, and I'll pull another Soul Cleave here down here so you can see where it is. Down here, you can see it has 5. So it's indicating to me that I have 3 souls right now that can be consumed with this. So it indicates how many souls are nearby for you to consume. So we'll go ahead and use this here. And you can see right there, it's a massive cleave. And it just cleaves everyone. It heals you on top of that. And just to give you an idea, your consumed soul heals for 95,000. It actually critted. So it was a 95,000 heal, then a 47,000, 47,000, and 47,000 heal. So a lot of healing can come out of that. And then on top of that, you have your soul cleave that actually healed you for 291,000. So there is a ton of healing that comes out of this ability. As I mentioned before when we started with Vengeance Demon Hunters, it's all going to be about parry and the parry, damage mitigation, and then healing yourself through the lesser soul fragments. That is a Vengeance Demon Hunter, and how they stay alive is basically through getting health back through getting a few active mitigations through something like parry and damage reduction, and then truly getting it back through your heals. That is the big deal with a Vengeance Demon Hunter. That is the niche of a Vengeance Demon Hunter and what they're able to provide in terms of tanking. The next ability here is Spectral Sight. So allows you to see through enemies and treasures through physical, allows you to see enemies and treasures through physical barriers, as well as enemies that are stealthed and invisible. Lasts 10 seconds. This is for all demon hunters, and this is the rogue killer. This will irritate a lot of rogues, but I'll go ahead and pop it right here. You can see I move slower, so that's a disappointing thing, but you can see these demons, these imprisoned raiding dummies on the other side, and they all just appear across the wall. So any rogues that come into range, you're gonna have to deal with this. You have to deal with Spectral Sight. And actually, you know, considering the rogues that I've encountered in PvP, I'm actually not complaining about this too much. But at the same time, Havoc Demon Hunters have been equally frustrating in BGs as I've been testing stuff out. So probably really no reason to complain there. So with that, let's look at Throw Glaive. This is available to both specs. Throw Demonic Glaive at the target, dealing 32,000 damage. The glaive can ricochet to 2 additional enemies within 10 yards. It generates high threat. So this is your great ranged ability in gathering threat. Okay? Hits 3 targets basically, 3.7 second cooldown. So this is your ranged threat. So you do have a kind of, you know, a gap closer, but at the same time you have Throw Glaive to kind of just get that ranged threat, which is something they're pretty much, you know, handing off to all tanks here. In the case of a Guardian Druid, they've given it now through Moonfire. So it's basically something that's standard on all tanks as a way to gain ranged threat pretty quickly. We have Torment here. Taunts the target to attack you, increases the threat that you generate against the target for 3 seconds. So this is your taunt, is Torment. A very simple taunt animation. I see no reason to improve the taunt animation. There's no reason for it. So with that, we are now in the final page, and it's all passives. So we've already gone through Double Jump, but let's look at Demonic Wards. Your tattoos reduce magic damage. So tattoos being, well, they don't really show up very well. You can see them, kind of the little daggers coming out in between my shirt there. And you can see them on my arms as well. You can see them right there. So that's what they're talking about when they're talking about tattoos. I've got purple. So your tattoos reduce magic damage taken by 10% and increase your stamina by 45% and your armor by 120%. So this is what turns you into a tank. You have 2.2 million health. The average health bar is around 1.5 million. A bear tank, which is all about health, is at 2.7 million. So you can see the big difference there in tanks. I expect all tanks to be in this 2.2 million range, and then bear tanks will obviously, as I said, be way ahead of everyone else. They basically get it's like a 20% increase in their health compared to everyone else. So it's pretty strong what they have. But that's because that is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be the big bear that has just a lot of health pool. Down here, we'll take a look at Shattered Souls before we look at the Mastery. Killing a target will sometimes shatter their soul, leaving a soul fragment behind for 20 seconds. The soul fragment will be consumed when you approach it, healing you for 405,000 health. That's a lot of health. That's a fifth of your bar, a little bit less than fifth of your bar. Consuming a Demon Soul will grant you 20% increased damage for 15 seconds. So in raids, it'll be pretty powerful for Vengeance Demon Hunter, because you're going to be killing a lot of demons. So you're going to get a lot of damage increases, and so you're going to be able to dish out a lot of damage in addition to being the tank, which is pretty cool. Reminds me of, I can't remember which spec it was, but there was a tank spec that just did absurd amounts of damage. It was like topping the damage charts in addition to being the tank. Kind of sounds like that, but I'm sure Blizzard will do some tweaking to make sure that that never happens again, because I know that they did not like that when that happened. Last, that brings us to Mastery Fellblood. Demon Spikes reduces physical damage taken by an additional 10%. So Demon Spikes is your damage mitigation for melee damage. So remember, this is kind of your active damage mitigation, and this is what I mean when Vengeance Demon Hunters are all about, siphoning back health as quickly as possible through your abilities of mostly Soul Cleave and Shear, and then also getting your parry chance up and reducing your physical damage. So that's basically what it's going to be about. You do have that Empower Wards ability, but that is on a longer 20-second cooldown, whereas Demon Spikes is 2 charges at 14 seconds, so you have almost 100% uptime on that. So Mastery is going to play in well. It also increases your attack power by 10%, just a small buff there to make sure that you maintain threat. That's kind of standard all across a lot of tanks. So that is everything with the Vengeance Demon Hunter. Really, I like the abilities, but it's kind of basic. You have your Shear, and then on top of that you use your damage mitigation abilities. You basically are going to be keeping Demon Spikes up as much as possible. You will use Empower Wards whenever you feel that you're going to take some magical damage, and then when you want that burst heal and so forth, that's when you use your Soul Cleave and get all of your healing back. So that is going to be kind of how you operate as a Vengeance Demon Hunter in both PvP and PvP. Basically, siphoning as much health as possible, and then using your active mitigation. Demon Spike should always be up without question. And then you can use Empower Wards when you really think that you're going to take a lot of magical damage, whether it be PvE or PvP. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the artifact weapon for a Vengeance Demon Hunter. We'll look at here. They are called the Aldrachi Warblades. So a little bit different. We have different Warblades for the Havoc Demon Hunter. As you can see right in front of me, he's wielding them right there. This Nuxhan guy and Osir. They're both wielding it. These are a little bit different. The Aldrachi Warblades. So the first ability that you get is going to be called Soul Carver. Carve into the soul of your target, dealing 157,000 fire damage and an additional 120,000 fire damage over 3 seconds. Immediately shatters 2 lesser soul fragments from the target and 1 additional lesser soul fragment every 1 second. So this is important because this is going to kind of play into how Soul Cleave will work. So I'm going to build up my pain as high as possible before I do this, using basically your 2 generators for pain, which is going to be Shear and then Immolation. That's really the only way you're generating your pain here. So now it's up to max here. I'm going to go ahead and use Soul Carver and let it go through its entire duration of doing everything. And now that it's done, I will go ahead and use Soul Cleave and then bring in all of that healing at that time. So that is what is available to you with the Soul Carver. Now I was noticing it looked like it was maxing out possibly at 5 souls around me, so it may be that you can only get up to 5. I could be wrong. That's what it looks like there. That is the main ability for your artifact weapon. It's going to be Soul Carver. A lot of damage there. And I was just noticing that basically the main difference, and I've been harping on this throughout this entire video, the main difference between Rage and what you have in Pain here, or in Havoc Demon Hunter's case, Fury, is that you are not going to generate any rage, so to say, passively. It's all active, which very much is like Windwalker in terms of their chi generation and so forth. So it's kind of giving you the halfway between those two. Like if I were to put rogues on one end of line and warriors on one end of line, you would have Windwalker a little bit closer to a rogue, and then you have the demon hunters here a little bit closer to a warrior. Yes, it operates on rage, but at the same time, all of its rage must be actively created as opposed to something that you can get through just sitting here auto attacking. As you can see, I'm not generating any pain through these auto attacks. So let's go into the talent tree for an artifact weapon. You saw the main ability. Let's go ahead and branch out here from it. We have Tormented Souls, increases the damage dealt by Soul Cleave by 10%. That is your big damage heal out of it. So remember that, 30 to 60 pain cost on that. Over here we have Infernal Force, 3 ranks. It'll be 5% per rank, increases the damage dealt by Infernal Strike by 15%. So let's go ahead and pull up that again, just so that you remember what Infernal Strike will do. It is your kind of your leap, your damage leap. So there's Infernal Strike. You have Defensive Spikes, increases your chance to parry by an additional 10% for the first 3 seconds after activating Demon Spikes. So for the first 3 seconds after Demon Spikes, you actually have a 30% chance to parry as opposed to just a 20%. Embrace the Pain, increases the maximum health gain from Metamorphosis by an additional 15%. So Metamorphosis, you basically increase your health and your current and maximum health by 45%. So originally it's 30, and then this will increase it to 15%, 3 ranks, 5% per rank. Painbringer, each soul fragment you consume reduces all damage you take by 3% for 4 seconds. So if you consume 5, that's a 15% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Basically, when you use Soul Cleave to consume those soul fragments within 20 yards, basically not only will you get the healing from that, but you now will also get damage reduction as well for that time period. So you want to time your Soul Cleave for when you really need it. Over here we have Devour Souls. Soul Cleave heals for an additional 9%. That's 3 ranks, so it'll be 3% per rank. We have Will of the Illidari, increases maximum health by 3%, 1% per rank, and there's 3 ranks on it. We have Shatter the Souls. Shear has a 15% increased chance to shatter a lesser soul fragment from your target while you are below 50% health. So when you start losing your health, basically you will be able to get more lesser soul fragments so that you can consume them with Soul Cleave and bring them back to you and heal yourself up. So it's kind of like an emergency situation. You're able to create more and then heal back quicker and get yourself back above 50% health. That's going to be 3 ranks, 5% per rank, up to 15%. Down here we have Honed Warblades, increases the damage dealt by Shear by 9%, 3 ranks, 3% per rank. We have Charred Warblades. You heal for 15% of all fire damage you deal. Immolation deals a lot of fire damage. I can see this being a lot of healing for you right here. It's just from Charred Warblades. Definitely probably something that's going to be very useful in PvP. It's gonna be able to heal you a lot. So as you can see right here, it's still ticking, and it's constantly giving me about 4k healing on each one of those minions across the board. So if you hit Immolation Aura instantly, you will get a lot of healing out of it. So the instant I guess you could say the instant damage that I did with Immolation Aura gave me around, just guessing a number real quickly, it's going to be around 100,000 health right off the bat, and then it was ticking for another, looks like around 20,000 health every second afterwards. So if you hit a lot of targets with that, you're going to get some decent healing out of it. This is from Charred Warblades, your second epic portrait here on the bar. We have Siphon Power. Empower wards increases your agility by up to 20% for 10 seconds based on the magic damage you take while it's active. So this not only makes it active damage mitigation, but it also gives the opportunity to get some damage, to deal some damage back. So if you're in, I'm mostly seeing this from a PvP perspective. if you get into a PvP fight with someone that is very magic oriented, a warlock for example, you're going to get a lot of damage to be able to return back their way, especially if they've dotted you up and you pop empowered wards. Just imagine that, an affliction lock dotting you up with these insane dots. They have like 3 stacks of unstable affliction on you, and you go ahead and use empower wards. Then you're going to be really able to turn that around on them and deal a lot of damage. So that's pretty cool. Aura of Pain increases the damage dealt by Immolation Aura by 9%. 3 ranks, that's 3% per rank. We have Demonic Flames, increases the duration of Fiery Brand by 2 seconds. Pull that up here just so we can remember what Fiery Brand is. It is the brand that you put on the target that reduces the damage that they will do to you for 40% for 10 seconds. And it lasts 10 seconds. So its original length is 8 seconds. It will now be 10 seconds once you get Demonic Flames. And in case you haven't, if you can't tell, I believe PvPers are going to be going to the left on this tree, whereas PvEers will be going to the right on this tree. You have Aldrachi Design, increases your chance to parry by 3%. However, that is a very important PvE talent right here. Right after I mentioned that, we get a pretty decent PvE talent. However, it's 3 ranks and it's only 3% per rank, 1% per rank. So it's not too big. It's not like 9% total. It's only 3% total, but still a lot of parry chance there. You have Fiery Demise. Firebrand also increases fire damage you deal to the target by 30%. So let's go ahead and real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Immolation Aura on this, and then I'm going to tag one of these with Fiery Brand afterwards so we can see the difference in the actual damage that is being done here. So one imp started taking, it looked like they were taking around 25,000, and then one imp started taking upwards of 40,000 in fire damage right here. This guy right here. Oh, that's Fiery Brand that was doing the damage. So I'm not quite sure where the Immolation Aura is on that. But one of the imps should have been taking more damage. There it is right there. 25,000 damage across the board for everyone except for the one imp that was taking 35,000 fire damage. So it does increase your damage there. With that being said, Firebrand is 3 ranks. It'll be 10% per rank for a total of 30%. The last ability here is going to be Fueled by Pain. You have a chance to activate Metamorphosis for 5 seconds each time you consume a soul fragment. So this is the Metamorphosis that I was looking for. I said we will find it in the talent trees, and I was really expecting it to be in the actual artifact weapon talent tree. Basically, when you build up those souls, I'm just going to go ahead and use Soul Carver. I'm going to use up this the artifact weapon talent so I can build it up real quickly, and I will use this to consume them, and as you can see right there, I just transform immediately. So right there, and I'm like attacking with my hands, which is really cool. I don't know where my glaives go, but they just kind of like disappeared. I started just swiping with my hands, which is awesome. So that's everything for a Vengeance Demon Hunter in terms of abilities and artifact weapons. In the next video, we will take a look at a Vengeance Demon Hunter and the talents that they are provided, both PvP and PvE. We'll be going back and forth between the spell book and the talent tree so that you guys are reminded of what these abilities are affecting, etc., as we go through the talent tree. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope you guys enjoy where this brand new spec that we are getting, new class we are getting overall in Vengeance Demon Hunters. And I hope to see a lot of them out there. Not too many, but I hope to see a lot of them out there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Teal us out.